But to go around the Premier League and get into some crack now, because there is some crack and there is some movement. And of course, you can't stop anywhere else first except at the fun factory that is Chelsea and old Sweeney Todd doing the business. It looks like he's got Liam Delap in the door, which is quite an unsexy signing for old Sweeney. But there are other names as well, including at least one from Everton and one fullback that Liverpool have been linked with as well. And of course, that means that lots of people might be on their way out of the club. Talk to us about Chelsea's current flurry of stories around the club.
Yeah, they got Champions League, which means Sweeney can get going, doesn't it? And like you say, we're all just waiting on the announcement for Liam Delap. That's going to come anytime. Also an interesting one. I'm probably pronouncing this name wrong, but Mark Gui, I think it's pronounced. They're looking at maybe him going on loan as part of a good arrangement or linked to that deal, even though it'll be a separate transaction. Jared Branthwaite, as we mentioned, a left-sided defender. Everton have issued an almost he's not for sale at all, but Chelsea are testing the water on that one. And the name we've mentioned before, Jarell Hatto, is the other left-sided defender they're looking at the same time as well. Nkunku, he's off. They've offered him to Spurs and everyone else, so they're still trying to flog him. We'll see if anything develops on that. But the two hot names for Chelsea right now, both pacey, on the screen there, Hugo Ekitike. Chelsea are red-hot favourites for Ekitike now, well above us, because we're just not going to pay anything like what Frankfurt are looking for, whereas Chelsea will, because it's Chelsea, and they will get close to it. So the smart money says that Ekitike ends up at Stamford Bridge, and very likely to be joined by another player we've looked at for a time, Jamie Bino-Gittins, the left winger at Borussia Dortmund. We looked at him, we were a bit... Again, it comes down to price. We'd said on this show that Liverpool had watched the kid, they liked the kid, but they're not interested at the price they were talking. However, Chelsea are right in there for around 50 million quid as well. So, funnily enough, if Liverpool won't play it, just ring Chelsea and Sweeney Todd will, in all honesty. So you fully expect Bino-Gittins and Ekitike to end up at Stamford Bridge.
They are just, if nothing else, they're very good at copying our homework and then just sneaking in at the last minute. And just to refer to the chat there, Luke, we're talking about Chelsea and we're arsed about Chelsea because this is a transfer show. It's not just all about Liverpool transfers. So we do talk about the Premier League and we do talk about Europe. So if that wasn't clear, that's why. Next story then, looking around the Premier League that we want to talk about to move away from Chelsea is City. And lots of people are thinking that City will be right back at it. You know, if they get Goalbot 3000 firing up top again, they're going to be a scary prospect regardless of how bad they are elsewhere. We know they've got their best player coming back into midfield, even though some people would say they lost their best player, but maybe KDB was on the decline for a season or two. We know they're going to have their injured superstar back in there. And now they're looking at adding some bits and pieces to their particular mix there. Cherki, a fellow Liverpool were linked with, Reijnders from AC Milan, and they've just gone and added to their coaching staff, it seems. And this seems to be pretty much done. So I'll let you take it from whatever angle you want to go here.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was always used to be that if we had targets, City would normally get them and we'd have to look at the second options, wouldn't we? There's been a bit of a history of that. But for this one, I mean, there's full expectation that Reijnders and Cherki end up at the Etihad. Advanced negotiations for both of those, which I don't know. I generally don't think they'd get into, people disagree into that, into our starting lineup at all. So I don't see it as a bad thing. Fullbacks wise as well, Aïnouri seems to be heading there, doesn't he? A player we've looked at for left back, but it seems quite clear that we've picked Kerkez as our number one. Aïnouri was the backup, the option, and they're taking that at the same time as well. Speaking of backup options, Linders is bringing the intensity to the Etihad, isn't he, as well now? So he's going to be Guardiola's right-hand man. People can make of that what they want. They're still looking at Livramento, as we mentioned last week, as he's still their top option for right back. Kyle Walker is not going to that Club World Cup. They're trying to shift him as quickly as they can. I mean, it's weird that if you talked about December, January time, you'd say City need to spend big and revitalise that team. And they spent 200 million, Trev, didn't they, in that January transfer window? And it looks like they're going to spend an absolute fortune in this window again. And maybe it is just me being too blasé. But if they got Livramento, I'd be thinking, yeah, that's a good buy. I wouldn't have minded him. Don't get me wrong. But for everyone else, like Cherki, Reijnders, Ainori, there's none of those we're looking at and going, crap, the blue juggernaut's back type of thing, are we? It's an interesting one. They're spending a lot of money. People have to decide if they think they're spending it on deadly targets.
Yeah. I mean, where are you landing with this? Just before we move away from them, like, it's interesting, isn't it? Guardiola is Guardiola, so you don't expect him to be out in the wilderness too long when it comes to trophies. But there seems to be something quite awry there, and I sort of had this like sneaking hope that maybe he was just going to go, and we might have a period of time where they are unsettled as a result, and we can sort of maybe establish a couple of Premier Leagues with only maybe Arsenal as proper challengers, if that, because they weren't this year. But what is your feel on where they're going? Because I'm not giddy by at the name you've mentioned this. These are not like top end names. So, and when and the addition of Jurgen's former assistant is such a weird one, especially given what has come out since, and given how he has performed since as an individual, as a coach, and his previous comments about how he'd only ever assist Jurgen. After that, he just wants to be out on his own. That didn't last long. It's like he's just given up the ghost at the first sort of failure. I'm sure he could get another job somewhere down the way, but he seems to like, and we always suspected that, the camera on him, and he gets to go back as an assistant to Pep Guardiola. Well, all of a sudden, are they serious? Are they serious anymore? Like, I mean, how serious are you expecting them to be next season?
Do you know what? And this could come back to haunt me, but I just look at them a little bit and you think, what's been the thing that City midfield's been missing all season is legs. Like the way when we had Fab and Hendo and their legs, we'd just fallen off a cliff, hadn't we? And you knew we needed that energy in midfield, the box to box, the bits that can go both ways. So then you think, okay, De Bruyne goes because of that. Cherki does no defensive running whatsoever. Mo Salah does more defensive work than Cherki, just to, put that in context. Reijnders as well. Reijnders is well famed for being very good, a carrier going one way, but not the best at getting back. So you're already thinking, too new to the Premier League, like, God, I hope Rodri's knee's in good nick, because it's going to need to be, the way we're probably going to have a bit of a lack of support if those are his two main buds. Ainori, a good player. If we'd have got him, I don't think we'd have complained. But again, it comes in that good player. It's not one that terrifies or you think like it really moves the needle that way. So, and even Marmoush was the biggest signing, wasn't he? And the two others that came in January, those two young central defenders, I think he's just like hidden them in a cupboard under the stairs, throwing them raw lettuce now and again. They don't even see the light of day, them two kids, do they? So it's an awful lot of money where you just, and again, could live to regret this. I'm just sort of looking at it and thinking, City, whatever we think of them, and we think a lot of things of them, by the way, they've usually bought and sold quite smartly, I've always thought. This time, and with Pep going, I've just got visions of like meltdowns on the sidelines. When Guardiola's giving it and the hands are going, and Pep Linders is going like steel fourth, put on the backstop, like, and doing like just hands, and like it's the Latin version of Mad Dog, Tyndall, and Eddie Howe type of thing. It could be beautiful just to watch the meltdown.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to, yes, we are doing other clubs and talking about transfers around the world, but we're Liverpool fans first and foremost. And as a result, we cannot hope enough that they fall away from whatever heights. And fair play, Agent Bobcat there in the chats mentioned that, quoting me saying that they're not top end names, but we didn't get necessarily top end names when we started our thing, and they could be a success. Obviously, yeah. I'm just saying it's not really Manchester City's MO, is it? It hasn't been. Well, certainly not Pep Guardiola's. He gets the people he wants and has always got the money to do that. So we will see. Wow, some seriously black-pilled people going on there in the chats as well about it's going to be a dark summer. Fair play to you, lads. Keep the package up. We have at least one or two more stories in the Premier League as well. Arsenal, I guess we go to next. And if everyone's being linked with a striker, no one more so than Arsenal. And I think Gyökeres was the one who seemed to be most likely for them. But now we're hearing a lot this week of Arsenal and Sesko. And he does seem to tick a lot of boxes in terms of what Oleg Ohen might want by way of a striker. What's the latest there with Arsenal's pursuit of goals?
It is weird the way Gyökeres was red hot with Arsenal, wasn't it? And now this just seems to have dried up. And all the reports have got that they've really moved in for Sesko, which, I've got to be honest, I wouldn't mind this at all, because all the talk has been Arsenal saying Arsenal need an established goal scorer. And if they got that, the copium on AFTV and all that will be fine. As long as we get that established goal scorer, someone who Sesko is the definition of a project forward, isn't he? And also the one thing we've said that we've not liked this summer, the price point's just gone up and up and up on this release clause, hasn't it, as well? Which I think, is probably, if Liverpool had any interest, the price points move well beyond where it was at the same time as well. So if Arsenal do get Sesko, again, I could be eating my words here, but I don't see it as a bad thing. In fact, it's got the feel for me of, in 6 months' time, AFTV turning on Lego Head and saying Sesko, project forward, did we get him off wish.com, all those types of things. And absolutely, it could again just be a brilliant thing. But I mean, we'll have to see, because some in the business think Sesko is the next world striker, if you want to call it that. I don't see it personally, but I'm not too sad if he ends up at Arsenal. That's probably the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, and we know they're going to get someone, so it is looking like a very, very high possibility. And we'll finish then with the Manx. United have got Cunha over the line. He is a good footballer. We saw them being linked with the likes of Semenyo and a couple of others as well. But we know, don't we, from looking at the open top bus, that was already a highlight of my summer. But we know there's a lot of disgruntlement in that camp. Garnacho is, I think, actively hated by the manager. He will likely be on his way out. And Bruno Fernandes is someone they can still make a bit of money off, who would probably like to get out of what must be. It must have turned into quite the hellish nightmare for him. Yes, of course, he's highly rated by everybody still, excessively so, I think. People including him in their team of the year and stuff like that is wild to me. We can see he's a talented lad, but there could be a chance to, towards the end of his career, grab a big bag of Saudi cash, perhaps, for him. What do we know about United, what they're up to, apart from the Cunha thing? And are the details of that finalised? Because I didn't see the very final details of that.
Yeah, it's all done. Matheus Cunha is a Manchester United player, which it's one of those we've said before. He is a good player. We've reviewed him quite a bit, so that's sad. But maybe it's his character and personality has driven him to Old Trafford, is the best way of putting it. Bruno, I mean, this is an interesting one. It's kind of got the feel to me of United want this to happen, but they can't say they want it to happen, because they can't just go listen, lads, we're in an absolute state financially, and 100 million quid for this. I know, he's our captain, but it will solve us a lot of things, and we can make that. They don't want to be seen to do that. And maybe if Bruno does go, it has the feel of, I didn't want to leave, but I'm doing it for the good of the club, and I'll reluctantly accept the 50 villas and, living in Bahrain and obviously everything that gloriously goes with it. But Yeah, it's there. Al Hilal are ready to do the deal. The interesting thing is there's been quite a few videos and photos. Who's Bruno been hanging around with over the last few days? João Cancelo. Do you remember the former Manchester City fullback? Who João Cancelo played for nowadays? Al Hilal. Funny that, isn't it? Portuguese teammate, and all those types of things. So it just feels like this will happen. Could be wrong, but you do get that sense of inevitability on this, that we've almost started down the road, and the bean counters, the debt collectors at Old Trafford will be saying, yeah, pull the lever on that. We'll worry about things later. You do get that sense of inevitability. And it's also interesting that quite a few journalists and different people have had it. United have been speaking to Brian Mbeumo, his camp at Brentford there. He's looking for his next move. And I like Mbeumo. A lot of people don't. And I think this is sad. This is probably the ones where I'm talking about opposition teams. If Mbeumo and Kuna are in United's forward line next season, they are a far stronger team, aren't they, in all honesty? So that would be a bit of a sadness for me. I know Newcastle are still well in the mix for Mbeumo, so hopefully it is there that he plumps for. But yeah, the Bruno Fernandes thing, I do just get the suspicion we're almost playing out a charade for an inevitable departure.
Yeah, it seems highly likely to me as well. Hats off to the Michael Edwards fanboys in the chat there. Very unhappy with Richard Hughes. Lads, it's just a title, and you could listen to the actual show perhaps.